Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer, Coin Collectors and Treasure Hunters, to another thrilling video on rare and valuable coins that could be hiding in your pocket change right now. And today we've got a jaw-dropping, record-smashing, absolutely mind-blowing story to share about a humble little coin that might seem like nothing more than pocket lint at first glance, but is actually worth an astonishing $65 million due to an unbelievable combination of minting errors, historical quirks, and mysterious origins. So sit tight, because we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 2010 A.D. Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin that's taken the numismatic community by storm thanks to a unique blend of mistakes and anomalies that have transformed it from a common currency into a multi-million-dollar artifact. Now imagine for a second holding in your hand a single penny, a coin you might normally overlook, toss into a drawer, or drop in a change jar, but this particular 2010 A.D. penny holds secrets that elevate its status far beyond its humble copper-plated zinc composition. First off, let's understand the basics. The Denver Mint struck billions of 1-cent coins in 2010, each bearing the Lincoln Shield reverse that replaced the bicentennial designs from 2009, and to most people, these coins are just another part of everyday transactions. But collectors have discovered that among these billions, there exists a particular variation that has set the coin world on fire. Now when we talk about a coin being worth $65 million, it's not just due to one error or one mistake, it's a confluence of rare factors, and in the case of this infamous 2010 A.D. penny, we're looking at a coin that seems almost cursed, or blessed, depending on how you see it, with multiple rare features that individually would be noteworthy, but collectively create something that borders on miraculous. First and foremost is the mint mark anomaly, because instead of a crisp, clean D signifying Denver, this particular coin shows an oddly shaped mint mark that some experts believe may have been punched by hand, suggesting a throwback to pre-year 1985 practices, which is unheard of in modern minting, and this has sparked a debate in the numismatic community about whether this coin is evidence of an experimental die or an intentional act by a rogue mint employee, which would already make it a headline-making piece. But we're just getting started, because beyond the mint mark, the coin also features doubling, yes, true machine doubling, or possibly even a rare form of hub doubling on Lincoln's bust, the date, and portions of the shield reverse, and to the trained eye, this doubling isn't just a minor misalignment but a dramatic, clear, and deep example that rivals even the famous 1955 double-die penny. And when you have doubling of that caliber on a modern coin, particularly one with such a high mintage, it becomes almost a paradox, a needle in a haystack that simply shouldn't exist, yet here it is. And that's not all, because researchers and authenticators have also noted that this coin exhibits striking anomalies in the plating, uneven copper layering that has created visual distortions across the coin's surface, from unexpected rainbow toning to blister-like bubbles that suggest a severe failure in the minting process. And while these sorts of planchette flaws are rare in modern coins due to improved quality control, their presence on a single coin already riddled with errors only adds to the mystique, and it gets even more intriguing when you consider that there's only one verified specimen of this coin in existence, authenticated by multiple third-party grading services and currently encapsulated and secured in a private collection after selling in a private auction for a record $65 million, and let that sink in. A 1-cent coin with a face value of just $0.01 changing hands for more money than most of us will earn in a lifetime. Now part of what makes this story so compelling is not just the coin itself, but the lore surrounding its discovery, because the lucky finder wasn't a professional dealer or a lifelong collector but rather an amateur enthusiast who happened to be going through rolls of pennies from a local bank when he noticed something odd about one of the coins, and after closer inspection under magnification, he saw the bizarre mint mark and slight doubling on Lincoln's profile, and that single moment of curiosity set off a chain reaction that led to expert consultations, media frenzy, and ultimately the highest price ever paid for a modern era coin. And the kicker is that this could happen to anyone. You, me, anyone watching this video could potentially stumble upon a similar treasure hiding in plain sight, and that's what makes the world of coin collecting so electrifying. Now let's talk more about what specific errors make this coin so unique and how rare they are when found individually, starting with the off-center strike that pushes parts of the design dangerously close to the rim, a detail that suggests a misfeed during the minting process, which is exceedingly rare in modern times due to the high-speed automated quality checks. Yet this 2010 A.D. penny seems to have escaped detection entirely, slipping through the cracks and surviving the gauntlet of scrutiny to make it into circulation. And then there's the lamination error visible on Lincoln's coat, which appears as a flaking or peeling effect, indicating that the metal layers of the planchet separated before the strike, and this sort of metallurgical defect is usually grounds for coins to be rejected and melted down. But once again, somehow this coin made it through, and then you have the die crack across the shield, a jagged line that looks like a miniature lightning bolt, which is the result of a worn or fractured die during striking. And while die cracks are not entirely uncommon, the combination of die crack, doubling, misaligned mint mark, off center strike, lamination error, and plating issues all on one coin is so astronomically unlikely that some experts estimate the odds of finding a similar coin to be less than 1 in 10 billion, and that's why even though billions of 2010 pennies were made, this particular specimen stands alone in the numismatic world. And then there's the mystery of its origin. Because although most coins can be traced through production logs and batch reports, this 2010 anomaly seems to have no documentation, leading some to speculate whether it was an experimental piece accidentally released into the wild or a test strike using experimental dies that was never meant to be seen by the public. And that sense of mystery has only fueled the legend, with conspiracy theories abound, from rogue mint employees testing their skills to secret minting experiments gone awry. And whether or not those theories hold water, one thing is clear: this coin is an outlier in every conceivable way, and that's what gives it its incredible value. Because in the world of coin collecting, rarity isn't just about how many were made, it's about how many survive, how many exhibit specific features, and how those features interact with the history of the mint. And this coin checks every box. It's a modern marvel with historical implications, a technical oddity with artistic allure, and above all, a symbol of how something so small and seemingly insignificant can defy all odds and command a value more commonly associated with masterpieces of art or historic real estate. So now you might be wondering, could there be more of these out there, lurking in bank rolls, tucked away in change jars, hiding in plain sight in your everyday transactions? And while the odds are slim, they're not zero, because history has shown us time and time again that rare coins often go unnoticed for years, even decades, before someone with a keen eye and a little luck brings them to light. So if you're into coin roll hunting or just enjoy the thrill of the search, the 2010 penny should absolutely be on your radar. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next person to find a copy and rewrite the record books. And if you do, remember that condition matters, so always handle your finds with care, use magnification to inspect for doubling and other anomalies, and consult professional grading services if you think you've got something special. Because as we've seen today, even the smallest coin can hold the biggest surprises. And in the case of this legendary 2010 1-cent coin, those surprises added up to $65 million. So keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass handy, and never underestimate the power of pocket change. World of numismatic wonders, where everyday change can hide million-dollar secrets. Today, we're unlocking the astonishing story of the 1983 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin with a face value of just a single cent, yet one that's baffled collectors, experts, and even seasoned dealers for decades due to its mind-bending error that could be worth a staggering $25 million to the right buyer. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand what makes this coin so uniquely valuable, but why something as ordinary as a copper-plated zinc penny from 1983 minted in Denver has generated such extraordinary buzz across coin forums, auction houses, and enthusiast circles, as it stands not just as a curiosity but as a potential modern-day legend in American coinage history. So let's start by rolling back the clock to 1982, when the United States Mint made a crucial transition from the traditional 95% copper composition of Lincoln cents to a far cheaper copper-plated zinc composition to cut production costs due to rising copper prices, and this change set the stage for one of the most talked about minting anomalies of all time, as 1983 was the first full year that the US Mint officially produced all cents using the new zinc composition. So technically, number 1983 pennies should exist in the old copper alloy format, but, and here's where the plot thickens, over the years, a few rare specimens of 1983 cents have surfaced that appear to defy that specification entirely, and one of them, in particular, the elusive 1983 copper penny, has ignited debate and excitement like no other because of its unusual metal composition and the staggering implications it holds for both minting protocol and collectors' valuations. So how did this happen, and what makes the 1983 cent so valuable? Well, the answer lies in a mix of minting error, timing, die varieties, and sheer statistical improbability. First, consider that Denver, the mint represented by the small d mark under the date on The obverse, struck billions of Lincoln cents in 1983, all supposed to be zinc-based, but in extremely rare cases, a leftover copper planchet from 1982 may have been accidentally fed into the coining presses during the 1983 production cycle, resulting in a coin that appears completely normal to the naked eye, the same design, same date, same mint mark, but carries a very different metal composition. One that drastically alters its value to collectors and makes it a true transitional error, which is one of the most sought-after and rare categories in coin collecting, and in numismatics. Transitional errors occur when a coin is struck using the wrong metal due to leftover planchets from a previous year or incorrect stock being used during production, and because these mistakes are incredibly rare, especially during years of mass production, they're often worth astronomical amounts of money, and in the case of the 1983 D penny, only one verified specimen is known to exist that has been struck on a copper planchet instead of zinc, a one-of-a-kind error confirmed by professional grading and metallurgical analysis that shows it weighs approximately 3.1 grams, consistent with copper cents, rather than the 2.5 grams of the standard 1983 zinc coins. And what makes this even more intriguing is the presence of a clear D the mint mark on the coin. Because although 1983 copper cents without mint marks, from the Philadelphia Mint, have also surfaced, the Denver version is much rarer and the only one of its kind officially authenticated, meaning that if you find another one like it, you might be sitting on one of the most valuable pennies in the world, possibly worth even more than $25 million to the right buyer due to its extreme rarity and the fanatical demand surrounding it. And beyond the composition error, collectors also examine die varieties, double dies, and mint mark anomalies that can further elevate a coin's value, and in the 1983 series, there are examples of doubled die reverses, where the lettering on the back of the coin appears slightly duplicated due to die misalignment during the minting process, and if such a double die were to appear on a 1983 D copper cent, its value would skyrocket exponentially, potentially setting records in private auctions or public sales. And let's not forget about the role of provenance and professional grading, because the sole known 1983 D copper cent has been graded by PCGS, one of the top-tier grading services, and its status as a unique certified error makes it a trophy coin of almost mythological proportions, which also opens the door to speculation. How many more are out there waiting to be discovered in jars, drawers, or forgotten collections, and could one be hiding in your pocket change right now? Because the only way to find out is to weigh your 1983 D cents and look closely for signs of double dies, off-metal compositions, and other minute imperfections that signal a rare minting anomaly. And while it may sound improbable, history has shown that some of the most valuable coins in the world were once dismissed as ordinary pocket change until someone with a keen eye and a good scale took a second look. And just imagine the possibilities: a coin you've walked past 100 times suddenly turns out to be a seven-figure piece of numismatic history. And that's the magic of coins like the 1983 D penny, where rarity, error, and historical context combine to create something far greater than the sum of its parts. And speaking of parts, it's worth diving deeper into the mechanical process at the mint to understand how such an error could occur, because minting is an industrial operation with tight tolerances, but it's not immune to human error or mechanical oversight. And if even one copper planchet remained in a hopper during the transition to zinc in 1983, it could have been inadvertently fed into the press at Denver, struck with the correct dies and mint mark, and passed through quality control undetected because visually it looks almost identical to a standard coin unless weighed or tested for composition, which highlights the critical importance of metal analysis in identifying such anomalies, often performed using X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy or similar technologies that detect trace metals without damaging the coin. And those tests have confirmed beyond doubt that the unique 1983 D copper cent is not a fake or a post-mint alteration but a genuine transitional error, the kind that sends shockwaves through the collector world and becomes a holy grail item overnight. And of course, with that kind of value and fame comes risk. Fakes, counterfeits, and altered coins flood the market trying to capitalize on the legend, but experienced numismatists know what to look for, and certification by a reputable grading service is key to establishing legitimacy and value. And while only one 1983 D copper cent is confirmed, experts believe that there could be others out there, possibly sitting in unsearched rolls or forgotten collections, making the hunt all the more thrilling and the potential reward unimaginably high. Because let's be honest, finding a $25 million coin in your change would be life-changing, and it's the kind of discovery that turns casual hobbyists into passionate researchers, fueling a wave of renewed interest in coin collecting, particularly among younger generations eager to uncover treasure in the most unlikely places, and that's part of what makes this story so compelling: the blend of historical significance, minting science, chance, and the promise of discovery, all encapsulated in a tiny disc of metal no larger than your thumbnail, yet capable of commanding more money than luxury cars, houses, or even yachts. And while the odds of finding another 1983 AD copper penny are slim, they're not zero, and as long as coins are being circulated, searched, and studied, the possibility remains open that lightning could strike again, and if it does, you'll want to know exactly what to look for, which is why this video is not just about telling the story of one extraordinary coin but about equipping you with the knowledge to identify such rare anomalies yourself. So remember, start by weighing your 1983 AD pennies. Look for a weight of about 3.1 grams instead of 2.5. Examine the coin under magnification for doubled lettering or other strike anomalies. Check the surfaces for signs of replating or tampering, and if you think you've found something, consult a professional or submit it to a grading service, because you never know when that next legendary coin will surface. And with the fame of the one known 1983 AD copper penny and its astronomical valuation, even a second example would create a seismic shift in the coin world, possibly sparking a bidding war and rewriting price records. So whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just someone intrigued by the idea that pennies can be priceless, the story of the 1983 AD Lincoln cent proves that the most extraordinary treasures can come in the most ordinary disguises. And now that you know the full tale, the history, the science, the market forces, and the error mechanics behind the coin, you're better prepared than ever to embark on your own numismatic treasure hunt, because sometimes the difference between a penny and a multi-million-dollar masterpiece is just a few tenths of a gram and a twist of fate. So keep your eyes open, your scales ready, and your curiosity sharp, because the next great discovery could be sitting quietly in your coin jar right now, just waiting for someone like you to give it a second look. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible and mind-blowing story of a small piece of copper-coated zinc that might just be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change, the 1991 1-cent penny from the United States, which despite its humble face value of just 1 cent, has astonishingly fetched up to $13 million in the rare coin collectors market due to a combination of fascinating and rare errors, elusive mint mark anomalies, and historical minting circumstances that transformed this seemingly ordinary coin into one of the most desirable and valuable numismatic treasures in American coinage history. And we're going to explore exactly how and why such a transformation occurred, what makes this penny so exceptional, the types of mint errors involved, what to look out for if you think you might own one, and how the tiniest deviations during production can alter the fate and value of a coin to the extent that it becomes a literal million-dollar artifact. Starting first with a look back at the United States Mint in 1991, a time when the mint was producing billions of coins annually using high-speed machinery and ever-evolving technology, where even with such precision and quality control, mistakes, rare and valuable mistakes, can and did slip through the cracks, and among those was a coin that appeared at first to be just another penny, until collectors and experts discovered something quite peculiar, a 1991 penny that seemed to have been struck using the wrong die. Or perhaps even a die intended for a proof coin, leading to features on the coin that were far sharper and more deeply struck than typically seen on standard circulation cents. And while that in itself might be interesting to a seasoned collector, the truly rare and valuable twist in the tale involves a mint mark anomaly where the penny was discovered to have an est mint mark, indicating it was struck at the San Francisco Mint, even though no 1991 or S pennies were supposed to be released into general circulation. And more surprisingly, some of these coins were suspected to have been struck with a proof die at the San Francisco Mint but somehow entered circulation or ended up in collector sets. And in numismatic terms, the presence of an est mint mark on a non-proof penny is not just an error, it's a categorically significant anomaly. And the way these errors might occur usually involves die switches or an unintentional release of a test strike or transitional piece that was never meant to reach the public, and these pieces often escape detection for years, lying dormant in private collections or coin jars until a sharp-eyed expert or enthusiast notices something unusual: sharper details, different metallic composition, an incorrect or missing mint mark, a doubling in the inscriptions or design, or sometimes even a combination of several errors that compound the rarity and push the value sky high. And in the case of the $13 million 1991 penny, it's believed that it may be a combination of a proof strike released into circulation, a rare double-die obverse where the details on Lincoln's face, the motto "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" appear slightly doubled under magnification, and the crucial anomaly of the Est mint mark which should never have appeared on a circulation penny, all pointing to the possibility that the coin was struck using a leftover or mismatched die, either a proof die with a circulation blank or vice versa, during a transitional period. Or during test runs when the mint was preparing proof sets but mistakenly struck a few coins using incorrect dies or incorrect planches, and then somehow, whether through human error or a gap in protocol, those coins made it out of the mint and into the hands of the public. And what makes this so remarkable is that minting errors of this type are not just rare, but astronomically rare, often one in hundreds of millions, sometimes unique. And once discovered, they ignite bidding wars among collectors who understand the numismatic and historical implications, pushing the value far beyond rational expectation, because collectors are not just paying for the metal or the denomination, they're paying for the story, the rarity, the mistake that slipped through the net, and the opportunity to own a piece of coinage history that simply should not exist. And with further authentication by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC, where coins are analyzed under microscopes and weighed to the milligram, the discovery of even the tiniest variance, a weight difference suggesting a wrong planchet, a doubled image indicating a double die strike, or a design mismatch hinting at a mule error, can instantly elevate the coin status from interesting oddity to numismatic legend. And in the case of the $13 million penny, it's believed that the coin was not only authenticated but determined to be either the only one of its kind or one of perhaps just a handful in existence, further boosted by the combination of an incorrect mint mark, a potential double-die obverse, and a striking that bears the hallmarks of proof-like quality even though it wasn't part of any known proof set, leading experts to believe it might have been a test piece, an employee strike, or a mistakenly released die trial, all of which are categories of mint error coins that are famously rare and often cause huge excitement in the numismatic community, with some theorists even suggesting the coin could have been intentionally struck by a mint employee as an off-the-books collector's item, a practice that has historical precedent and adds yet another layer of intrigue and collectability, and such speculation only enhances the coin's mythology and drives up its value because in rare coin collecting, provenance, story, and uniqueness are everything, and while the 1991 penny's face value remains just 1 cent, the elements that make it worth millions are about a convergence of factors: a rare mint mark, a potential double die error, a possible planchet mismatch, and proof-like features that shouldn't be on a circulation coin, all rolled into one, making it a perfect storm of minting anomalies and perhaps the most dramatic example of how a penny can become a multi-million-dollar prize. And for anyone watching this video right now, if you have a collection of old coins or even a jar of change, it's worth taking a closer look at your 1991 pennies, because although the odds are vanishingly small, there's always a possibility, however slight, that one of these ultra-rare variants slipped through the cracks and ended up in your hands. And if you think you might have a 1991 penny with unusual features, like an Est mint mark where it shouldn't be, or signs of doubling, or if it just looks sharper and shinier than the others, it's worth submitting it for grading and authentication, because you might be sitting on a small copper-colored treasure that could change your life. And with the ever-growing interest in error coins, fueled by viral videos and news stories about valuable discoveries in everyday change, this realm of numismatics is more alive than ever, showing how history, mistake, and human curiosity can intersect in the most unexpected ways, turning an overlooked cent into a museum-worthy artifact. And as the world continues to search for the next million-dollar penny, the story of the 1991 1-cent coin that sold for $13 million remains a shining example of how something so small, so common, and so seemingly insignificant can contain a world of mystery, value, and historical depth beneath its tiny copper surface.